Basics of gaining lean muscle as a girl. So very often I get this question, Jamie, how do I gain lean muscle? Jamie, I don't want to get big and bulky. Jamie, I just want a nice bum. I hear ya, I really do, okay? But there's a few things you need to know first about gaining muscle as a girl. It's not fucking easy. Okay, it doesn't happen overnight, and this idea that you're going to get big and bulky is not the case at all. Okay, men have 7 to 8 times more testosterone than us women. Okay, some women have naturally a little bit more testosterone, hence why they gain muscle a little bit easier and can lose fat a little bit quicker. But testosterone is the main hormone associated with muscle growth, and we don't have a lot of it, okay? Because we're women, we don't need to have a lot of muscle, physiologically speaking. We don't, okay? But I encourage you to gain as much muscle as you want, my honeys. So this idea that you're going to gain a lot of muscle, get big and bulky, look like a geezer, is just not the case at all. We don't have enough testosterone. You would be lucky as a complete newbie to training to gain ½ a pound to a pound of muscle in your first month of training, provided that you are following a correct nutrition and training protocols, which a lot of you probably won't be. So if you're someone who has joined the gym, obviously not now, maybe you built one in your back garden, life, and you've gained a couple kilos in your first month of training, that is not muscle, I'm afraid. It's most likely a combination of a little bit of muscle and body fat. Not the end of the world, hey, body fat can come and go. So if you've jumped on the scales and the scales are up, you're probably in a calorie surplus. Hey, look, you're training now. You're probably a bit hungrier. So if you're worried about that, bring down your calories a little bit. So let's go through the basics of gaining lean muscle as a female. Firstly, get crystal clear with where you are now and where you want to be. For a lot of girls who are potentially quite skinny, they don't have a lot of muscle mass, if they want to then end up looking like Paige Hathaway, or I don't even know any fitness models now, I don't know, some Gymshark model or whatever, you're probably going to have to go through a couple phases. If you are someone who is naturally skinny in terms of your lifestyle choices and in terms of your genetics, it's going to be more beneficial for you to go through something like a gaining phase where you are going to be in a calorie surplus, because the most optimal way to gain muscle is by being in a calorie surplus. During this time, you're going to optimize your training, you're going to gain muscle. You will also gain some body fat as well, because you can't just gain all muscle, unfortunately. But then after that, after this phase, you can then look to do a dieting phase where you're going to reduce your calories and lose some of the body fat you would have potentially gained during this gaining phase. And that is the most optimal way for someone who is naturally quite skinny to gain some muscle size and to gain some shape. If you are someone who is naturally not very skinny but not big, and you're looking to gain a bit of lean muscle and also lose body fat, losing body fat is very important when looking to show muscle, because we all have muscles. It's just whether or not we've got too much body fat on top to see them and whether or not they are trained. So for someone like that, working on just simply training regularly, eating in a slight calorie deficit is going to be sufficient for you to get the desired look. If you are someone who is overweight, the best thing you could do is to look to lose body fat first. Make that your function. Of course, if you are training, you are applying progressive overload, which I will go into in a minute, you will gain muscle whilst in your calorie deficit, because you can, okay? But you want to prioritize losing the body fat first, because once you're in a good place body fat wise, you could then look to move on to focusing on just that muscle. So you need to establish where you are now and where you want to be in the future, and know that it won't take 12 weeks, 6 months. It will take years for you to get to where you want to be. So trust the process, stay with it, and love yourself in the meantime. That's my first tip for you. Secondly is to lose body fat. So we all have muscle, like I say, but we all have fat on top. So follow a progressive training program, whilst being in a calorie deficit, for 90% of you, that is going to be sufficient for you to gain lean muscle. Number 3 is protein. Very important when you're looking to gain muscle, especially when you're looking to gain or keep muscle in a calorie deficit. You want typically around, I would say, 1.5 to 2 grams per kilo of body weight. If you look online, it says 2.2. I personally don't think that is necessary, but again, there's all this leeway with these kind of things, okay? Some coach may say 2.5, another coach may say 1. I give my clients a rough ballpark because at the end of the day, some may not be able to achieve the higher end of the scale than others. So let's just say you're someone who is 70 kilos. For you to get 1.5 grams per kilo of body weight, you are looking at 105 grams of protein a day. If you are looking for the 2 grams, you would need 140 grams of protein a day. Quick maths there, I'm really proud of myself. So that's the ballpark you're working with. Get your protein in daily around about those guidelines and you will be A-okay. Number 4, training effectively, applying progressive overload. Very fucking important when looking to gain muscle. Actually, it's pretty much one of the most fundamental factors of gaining muscle mass. Progressive overload. So what does that mean? Progressively overloading the muscle, making it harder, whether you're increasing weight, increasing reps, doing an extra set, doing an extra training day, doing your squats a bit more effectively, doing them slower, working with tempo. All of that is progressive overload, okay? If you are applying that to your training, as well as lifting as much as you can for the rep range you're working with, and in terms of rep range, it is not a case of doing more reps, less weight. We can gain muscle in any rep range. So I encourage all of my clients to find a rep range that they believe works for them and that they enjoy. Some may prefer working in a 6 to 8 rep range where they can lift a bit heavier, you know, get a good fucking pump in there. Others might like working more in the 10 to 12 rep range where they find that they feel a little bit more out of breath. They've got a bit more of a cardiovascular workout. It's all up to them in terms of how it feels for them, and I will listen to them and trust them because it is their body and they know how they feel. I don't know how they feel. It is my job to be their coach and make sure that they're applying progressive overload and all these other stuff. Number 5 is to supplement. Now, creatine is the best research supplement ever. Apart from protein, I think protein's pretty much a given, okay? All it does is helps you increase your daily protein intake. But creatine has been associated with increased muscle mass, increased muscle size, and increased performance in your workout. So of course, if you are someone looking to optimize your workouts, get the most out of them, creatine is definitely something that I would advise. So that's it. That's the basics of gaining muscle as a girl. Thank you for watching and enjoy.